Reading. We're going to be tapping in, see what comes through for you today when you click on this video. What is it you need to know for the highest good at this time? So let's see what's going on. I'm hearing justice will prevail, and it's due to you standing in your own truth. You seem to be unwavering in standing in for what is your truth. Either this is what your values, your morals, like you seem to be walking with integrity, and it is felt and it is recognized. So lies, slander, backlash, it's all like falling off your field, like it's not even reaching the core. I'm hearing any more. So that would speak of you having sealed your vessel, your field, in a way that it's no longer porous or no longer leaking. Again, high level magic is a play here. So which makes me very happy because I am attracting the right people to this channel. You're becoming sovereign. So you do have temperance as the underlying energy. I want that clarified. But this is already, like pretty straightforward and pretty telling to the frequency that you are embodying at this time. Temperance is clarified by the Knight of Pentacles. So there is a message from Spirit for you to stay consistent, stay disciplined, stay at the ball. What's that saying? Steady horses win the race or something. Weird enough, that's what I heard. But I know there's a saying that is a little bit different. But the message is clear that you're not in the hamster wheel like fucking 90% of the sleepwalkers. You're not, there's no rush. You may feel a sense of urgency at times. I'm hearing especially if you've already had glimpses and seen what timeline you're calling in and it's taking longer, or there's some residue and some cleaning up that is still needed or still happening. I just did a whole reading on that on Patreon. It's called Cancer, Where Are You Still Leaking Energy? It's uploading, so by the time this reading is out, you will be able to watch that. I keep hearing steady horses win the race. And liberation, freedom, and it just made me think of a few weeks ago I was channeling horses, like wild horses. And when I was inquiring about what the meaning of that was, it was exactly that, freedom and liberation, freeing yourself from people, beings, entities, structures, institutions that want to control you. Ultimately, that's what a sovereign being is. They're not. They are their own authority. They're not controllable. So that's what I'm saying. I'm fucking excited to be having you reach this channel reaching you, or you reaching this channel. It definitely speaks of me magnetizing, or the transmissions are magnetizing the right people. And for some reason I just felt my heart start beating really fast. Can you please tell me about that? A rush of excitement, I just heard. Birds of a feather flock together. So you may have had this sensation just recently, or you will be having more of these sensations when you're out in the wild, in the jungle, in the wilderness, and you and others that are on your frequency, that are vibrating at this other sovereign beings, clock you and you clock them. And there's different sensations for that. I got it as like my heart started beating really fast. Some feel it in different areas, you may feel it in your gut, but just look out for certain sensations that you will get when you clock another sovereign being as you. Like there will be a moment of you recognizing each other. Can you clarify this, please? The Five of Swords. Birds of a feather flock together. I keep hearing that in a loop. This is also what seems to be happening, is that Trust Like this channel is calling in the people that it's meant to assist you where you may still be slacking, where you're not fully embodied yet. There's also the same thing happening within your life, in your waking life, like in your day-to-day, when you just do your daily, I don't know, chores or what you have to do. You seem to be having a similar effect on certain people that are still in a cage but already are seeking out on a soul level. They're seeking solutions or answers, or I'm hearing the saying, when the student is ready, the teacher appears. So of course all of you are teachers in your own way as well. You have certain experiences, you have gone through your own trials and errors, so you too have things to teach. You know, whether this is in passing, whether this is just, some of this happens silently. There are activations that are happening all over just by certain people. This where some talk about the 144k chosen ones, which is, it's basically just a frequency. You're a signal. Then when you're on that frequency, you signal to another one who's on that frequency, will recognize you. That's what's going on. But also you act as a catalyst and as an activator for those that may not be there yet, but have it within the blueprint to get there as well. So I'm still curious why this card is out, because I understand the other two, I just channeled that for you, but well, this is a little bit separate, but I'm just seeing that there's still a tether and an attachment to someone that you've dealt with. They're showing up as a Knight of Wands, so some of you know what a Knight of Wands can embody, the energy to embody. When I tap into this specifically, it's that very hot and cold, non-committal, non-devotion, no devotion, very scattered, doesn't really know what they want. There seems to have been a great betrayal, like a beheading. This person made you disconnect from your intuition and your reality, which can be extremely traumatic. You're still tethered to this person in some way. There's either longing that you're not fully expressing, I'm not happy about this. There's still a tether. There's still a tie. I'm telling you I'm not happy about this, because if you come from the Cancer reading, or you watch that on Patreon, you're gonna understand it's more of what what is coming through here. I just want to find out if there's a solution, a practical solution right now, or if the solution really isn't a Patreon reading. Yeah, we know that you need to cut ties, but what exactly is or you already have, but someone is resisting the tether being cut. So it's not even fully on your side, it's them like waiting outside of your gates, not fully accepting an ending, not fully accepting that you may want nothing to do with them, that you're done for good. So yeah, this is coming through as a little bit of a warning that even if you feel like it's a done deal, you seem to be getting backlash from this person who can't fully accept the ending. So this can look like them still pinging, echoes of them showing up, phantom echoes of their frequency, of what they look like, just trying to still be hooked and tethered to you in some way, even if you rebuke it and you're like, this is only coming through for you to keep up what you've been doing so far, especially if you've been protecting yourself also in the astral and different timelines and dimensions. Like multidimensionally is necessary here, because I'm getting a sense that they do have a tendency of hijacking your system, like your brain. They find ways, they find loopholes. I'm hearing very narcissistic, like they cannot let go of you because it would make them have to rewrite the narrative that they have been telling about you, and they don't want to because it will put them in a bad light. It's malicious. This person solely runs on their own agenda, like their own programming. They may even have entities attached, like this is some nasty piece of work that you're dealing with, because they keep overriding your no and also your will, or they try to. So, I'm not worried by the way this reading has been going. I am attracting, like I kept getting the right viewers. You have certain tools already in your toolbox, so use them. The thing is, what also is a little bit your responsibility, because I am seeing that there's a part of you that is still curious about them. So you may be inquiring about them, whether you do this, however you do this, through divination or however you're inquiring about, or just still curious. That is also still keeping a little bit of the loop in place. I just want more. I just got the answers. I just was asking in my head, why? This is so annoying. It looks like they are trying to intercept a contract that you have with another person. So they're clearly a Knight of Wands. They're clearly in a Knight of Wands energy. They've clearly been in a Knight of Wands energy. They haven't changed. They may be good at cloaking themselves, whether this is through glamour magic, like they may have been cloaking themselves as an archetype within your life that you are ultimately meant to meet and you have a soul contract with. So they may have been mirroring that person, that this is what we call a mimic as well, someone who mimics archetypes and just wears them as a freaking performance. You know, they just wear them, they don't embody the real energy, the real frequency, they just perform it. So of course, if this is something that you haven't really dealt with often, you may fall for it. You know, like a trap, you get trapped, and then they have the hooks in, and then they can hijack and manipulate and even siphon from you. And one way apparently this person did it is by painting a picture of you that wasn't based in truth. It's not the truth. It's a distorted way of how they portray you and how they think of you and how they may have even portrayed you to other people. That's why I was saying they run the programming is purely based on their own agenda. They don't give a toss about anyone else other than themselves. So this is what you got caught up in. The first part was clear. Justice prevails. You standing in your truth. It will rewrite everything this person tried to speak onto you, the distortions. It will override it. And that's what Spirit meant with justice prevails. You simply got to stay in your lane. Like, recognizing your own essence and your own truth is, of course, the first step to you even being able to not waver on that, which sounds simpler than it may be. Because as a sovereign being, you're gonna have had a lot of backlash and a lot of opposition. Like, you know what it means to stand in your truth while everyone else is pointing fingers and trying to make you wrong for it. This is not for the faint of heart. This is not something you can fake and pretend to be, because it takes a lot to get to this point where you have apparently gotten to. And that's what I'm saying. You know what that is. You know the slandering, the gang stalking, all of it. You know, like, there's a system in place that wants to keep you asleep and wants to keep you docile and malleable and, digestible, like a little sheep, whereas others get to play the big bad wolf. So what happens when a little sheep, sheds their fur and becomes a big bad wolf? And that is exactly what is happening in this scenario with this specific person, because the narrative, what they've tried attaching to you, it's not sticking. Because you're not the docile little sheep that they made you out to be. So this is their struggle. They're struggling with this because it's becoming very apparent, and this is where people like them start short-circuiting, because they have no control, and they thrive and live off of control. So what are they going to do when you liberated yourself and you're free, you walk free, and you're walking free from them being your puppet master? They're left with nothing. So that's their unraveling. That has nothing, there's nothing you need to do or can do there. It's their unraveling. It's them basically being put into a mirror box, and they have to face themselves now. And that can be the worst thing for this type of person, to have to recognize and face how what's that word? Is another word for nothing. They're like, they have to face a part of the reckoning is them having to learn or see or accept and acknowledge that they're nothing within your story. They don't mean anything. I mean, the past is the past was the past, but that's as well. For example, this person paints you as like the crazy, obsessed, can't let them go when you may have let them go years ago. And you haven't even been thinking about them. You may be seeing or having a whole new man, a whole new woman by your side, like and they're still running a narrative that you are obsessed with them. They start looking hella stupid because it's a narrative they can no longer uphold, especially when you are walking within your own truth, and your own truth may be, I recognize who my true counterpart is, or like, it doesn't even have to be connected to a counterpart, but a counterpart in these cases can also, especially if you're still tethered and don't see the full truth yet, and you're still somewhat under their spell and under delusion, it's like you get cloaked and they can run the programming on you, like you get hijacked. But in this case, it does seem like I'm talking to someone who has broken out of that. I'm just saying, I'm just picking up, they're still running that narrative and it doesn't stick anymore. Whereas before, you may have still been leaking energy and they still had the claws into you, so it was more, you may have felt like paranoid, or you may have felt like you need to keep yourself small and hidden, like this is where you shifted, this is where you are shifting by you just embodying who you are. And the truth speaks for itself, like the frequency or energy speaks for yourself, and that's why you're pinging that's why that came through, birds of a feather flock together, because you are pinging to the right people. You're being seen, you're being acknowledged, you're being recognized for your truth. And it's reminding me of when this has come through in the channel, that as soon as you embody your truth, that's when the real ones who recognize you, who see you, can even find you. Because if you're hidden and you're masked, but we don't have to get into that because you're past that point. I see that clearly. But yeah, what a pest, man. What a pest you're dealing with. It's reminding me of another reading I did on YouTube. It's, what was it called? Something like this pest can't. This person is an absolute pest. I think I took it down. Maybe I put it back up. It was titled, "This person is an absolute pest, I can't get a hint for their life." So I'm going to put it back up. You can watch that. Well, I'll link it down below, so you can click on that and watch that. But damn, yeah, this feels irritating, understandably so, but now you've got the insight, you've got confirmation even for what you may have been picking up anyway, and justice prevails. You already got that. So in other words, what more do you need to do than just show up and be yourself? Let me run more through the spread. Can you clarify this, please? Yeah, that person just can't get a fucking hint. They still feel like you have unfinished business. They think you have unfinished business. It's mirrored. I'm still getting a hang of that. They think you have unfinished business while you've got a whole ass emperor out, and that's part of also of your justice, is that you actually call in the right person who can hold your frequency without trying to contain it and control it like the other one was doing, because the other one saw something shiny and put a whole system in place to keep you in a freaking cage. That is not love, and that's never going to be love. That is karmic as hell, and they may have literally put you through hell, or you may have felt that way. So of course, once you liberate yourself also from that story, and you're like a wild horse running free, and suddenly you have the true counterparts coming in, and I'm saying plural, so it could be more. You could have like a choice, like a buffet even, of multiple counterparts that you have specific timelines that you could choose from. Of course it's gonna short side, of course they're gonna be put in a frenzy, because it's like they don't have the supply, they don't have who you've been feeding the other person through. That's what I mean. This is where it gets really fucking like, they were playing puppet master in your life. They were spreading lies. They were painting a distorted picture of you being crazy, of you being obsessed. And then a part of you was running that script as well, until you got yourself out of that and you started embodying the truth of who you are, and you started seeing the illusions and the spells wore off, and you started seeing this person for exactly the little coward, piece of shit motherfucker that they are. You stop romanticizing who they are. You stop romanticizing the whole story. That was your liberation, because they're a piece of shit. That's just how, I'm not gonna sugarcoat anything for you. You either know it or you don't. The longing, I don't know why there's still a little bit of that, like why you still check in with them, or why there's still a little bit of that. I don't really know why that is. If it's like where you limit yourself, or where you feel like you have to settle, or where you feel like you're not deserving of the true thing, of the real thing. I'm gonna leave that open-ended. You can sit with yourself, find out why you're still curious about someone who's a piece of shit. They're a piece of shit. I feel like I need to drill it in your fucking head. This is not a good person. They're running on their own agenda. Like, they would not have stopped at anything. It was you who pulled yourself out of this whole fucking mess. So yeah, you deserve what is coming in, or what already has come in, of someone who truly can meet you at your level, and they don't perform or mirror you so that there's a whole ass fugazi and illusion, and then you think you've been dealing with the real thing this whole time, when actually we're not. Piece of shit. I'm pissed off. Like, I'm actually pissed off at this person. So you may have like true protectors and guides that have been warning you. So if you feel angry and you have the anger come up, let it, like, it's sacred rage. This is sacred rage, because this person seemed to have really, really pulled a number on you. So yeah, I too feel protective of my collective, but it could also be that I'm channeling a guardian of yours. Anyways, I think we can move on from that. I'm just gonna see here. I mean, there's definitely talk about you and speculation as to who you are involved with. Are you even involved with someone? That's where, again, I'm sensing this other person is like, they just involve themselves in your life. It's as if they feel entitled to you, which they obviously do, but they keep inserting themselves in a timeline, into a life, into a future that they have no place in. And that's exactly what you probably or must be picking up on, that I'm even reading your spread, the way it's coming through, because it's it's icky, or it's gonna feel like interference, or it's gonna feel like you keep having to have arguments with someone, like even in through the ethers, where you keep having to tell someone to F off. That's what it feels like. It feels like your boundaries are just still not fully getting, it's like you're not fully getting heard, which again then shows you the contrast of the real thing, who there's going to be an understanding. They may just look at you, you may look at them, and you have a full scan, a full download of where they're at, what they're dealing with. And then the other one feels like you could shout at them, and it would still feel like talking to brick. So that's the contrast, and that's also showing you what is the real thing and what is not, what is an illusion, what is a karmic lesson, what is a piece of shit that just needs to be put 10 feet in the ground. Like, it's enough. Like, no more of that. They've been playing Puppet Master for far too long, and unfortunately it is due to the part that you need to, I guess, look at or keep in check, is where you hold yourself accountable, and where you were leaking, where it wasn't sealed. And that again brings me to the Patreon reading, Cancer, where you're still leaking energy, that you can watch as an extension to this. I think we're good for now. I'll be tuning in some more in the upcoming days. Yeah, would love to have you over on Patreon, because definitely the signal is reaching who it's meant to. What else? Personal readings all up, but I think you've got it. Like, the information is all in below. So I will see you soon.